Wow. This room frickin' sucks. Nothing says welcome home quite like hot pink and bright red. Hello, Aecrix here. You can call me Eric. Welcome to the first part of a series that I'm going to be calling Room Renovations. Room Renovations is a series where I take certain rooms in my house and update or restore them. There are two rules. I must do everything myself, and almost everything must be handmade by myself. This footprint you see here will be adapted into a YouTube studio. First, I need to repaint the entire room. Only, there is a problem. I've never painted a room before. By my calculations, this room is approximately 2 Aecrix by 2 Aecrix. There's quite a lot of damage to the walls, and the previous owners clearly didn't do a very accurate job painting. This room also has a super weird closet with a small cubby at the top that looks really easy to paint for a large man like me. This is not the only way to paint a textured wall. I'm not even saying it's the correct way to paint a textured wall, but it turned out pretty good if you ask me. Wow, that's super dark. You can't see it. Let's get on with it. First thing to do is remove all of the outlet covers. If you were to paint over or near them, replacing them in the future will rip paint off of your walls, so they gotta go. I have just about every connection possible in this room. For a coax cable, you might need a wrench or plier to keep it stable as you unscrew it from the outlet cover. Power outlets are the easiest, as you can just unscrew the center and they basically fall off. Here is where you have to be careful. Ethernet cables attached to your outlets are very fragile. They have individual pins that, if bent, may permanently damage them. Push in whatever lock mechanisms are holding them together, mine has 2 on each side, and make sure the cable is completely unseated from the outlet before gently tugging it apart. Here are the supplies I'll be using to repaint this room. In total, it costed just below $250. First is some drop plastic to protect my carpet. Then we have a sanding pad meant for walls. As I have a lot of damage on these walls, I bought a small tub of plaster and a spatula. We also need some tape. I recommend painter's tape, but masking tape will also probably work. I'll be using a microfiber floor mop to thoroughly dust my walls prior to painting. If you can pull fibers out of the mop, then that mop will simply not do. This universal telescope pole will slot into my sander and allow me to reach the top of the ceiling. I'll be using this 9-inch paint roller as well. Since my walls are heavily textured, I'll be using a half-nap roller pad to keep the texture consistent on the smaller parts of the wall where the 9-inch cannot fit. I'll be using this 4-inch roller with also a half-nap pad. For detailing and the corners of my walls, I'll be using a large nylon brush and a small fine nylon brush. And obviously, I'm going to need something for the paint to be rolled in, so I got a roller pan. Hi, listen up. If you're watching this because you're also interested in making a recording or streaming studio, the paint that you apply to your walls actually matters. If you're using a bunch of lights to brighten up your face for streaming or recording, you're going to want a velvet finishing paint. Not gloss, not semi-gloss, not satin. You're going to want velvet. It's the very best at distilling rays of light so that you don't create spotlight reflections and glares. My studio is quite naked because I just moved into it, but I'll have a lot of light sources, and I can't have those reflections ruining my shots. As you see in the background here, this wall, there's no hard reflections. Very easy to the eye. To get started with the painting process, you'll need to place your drop cloth or plastic. Make sure to properly tape them together so there are no gaps. If you happen to get paint on the bottoms of your shoes, you don't want to trail that onto your floor. I then taped the drop plastic onto my baseboards to keep drippage to a minimum. Next, if you have blinds, you'll have to remove them. If they're cheap like mine, they will have a pull tab. You can just pull that up and the blinds right out. The previous owner didn't do this and painted directly onto the blinds, which is cool, I guess. Next, I'm going to take my floor mop and dust all of the corners and the walls. I can see spider webs in the ceiling, and I know that there are foreign particulate on these walls that I don't want to paint over. The final preparation before you can paint your walls is not optional. Before you repaint a room, you really need to sand it. I'm using a self-priming paint and not a separate primer to ensure a successful grip and cure for this latex to latex paint. I'm using a fine 150 grit sandpaper pad. Roughing the surface is important for paint adhesion, but it also does another very important thing. Sanding your walls removes loose and damaged particulate that may be holding on by a hair. You wouldn't want to paint over that, for it to suddenly fall off a wall a month later, leaving a giant gross gap in your perfect paint job. Or possibly worse, get it stuck onto your paint roller and create weird lines as you paint. With the initial sanding complete, it's time for me to plaster my troubled areas. Just take a spatula and apply it. This plaster doesn't say anything on the tub about how long it will take to dry, so I'm going to get my 15K steps in for the day.
Who's a good boy, Oh, apparently not you.
If I knew how much work it was going to be to paint a textured wall, I would not have chosen to walk 15,000 steps in one go. Yeah, that was a mistake. You live and you learn. Now that the plaster has dried, it's time for the fun part. And what I mean by that is, it's time for the worst part. A paint roller is not designed to go all the way up to the top and all the way to the bottom of your wall. You have to do that by hand. So here I go, painting a picture frame over each wall. Now for the actual fun part, rolling the wall. All the tips and tricks I found on YouTube said that you should not roll the wall with extreme pressure on the roller. I tried that. Didn't work. All those professional painters on YouTube were painting super flat walls. I could not find a single video repainting heavily textured walls like mine. That's probably because search algorithms on Google and YouTube are dog shit now. So thanks for that. What did end up working for me was applying a ton of pressure on my roller to really push the paint into the crevices. Then I would backroll a significant portion to ensure even paint distribution. I did this to all 4 walls of this room. And then came the dreaded closet cubby.
Big roller, fall down, hit that side, big roller on this side, and then the mini roller on this side. Got it. We're good to go. Okay. I've got a plan, and that's better than no plan.
We're so close. I can do it. One step at a time. Fuck. Oh. All right, here we go. Don't fall.
I'm 6'6". It was not fun fitting my entire body into a 2-foot clearance cubby. It's safe to say I'm not going caving anytime soon. Day 1 painting is done. Even with 1 coat and paint on the ceiling,
Wow.
This is such a crazy improvement.
Oh, you thought we were done? No. I have so much more to do still.
Welcome to day 2. We have to sand the walls again. Wait, is that really necessary? Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. Now I have to repeat the process from day 1, with framing all of my walls by hand and then rolling them with one more coat. With that done, I need to let it dry. I plan on putting tape across the upper walls so I can touch up the ceiling.
It's hard to get any sort of flat taping surface on this weird textured wall. So that's where I'm at right now, is I think this just has to come down to skill brushing. Oh well, here we go. I'm tired of not doing anything, so I'm gonna just do something.
I did not realize how bad these baseboards looked. They've got huge scuffs, scratches, and I guess old white paint drops down their vertical faces. The person who painted this room previously really did not do a good job. You might think that would discourage me, but it didn't. It actually made me feel way better about my first time painting a room, because I could not possibly do worse than this. I decided to give it the old landlord special, which is paint over with primer, and call it a day. I don't want to repair these baseboards. I want to completely replace them. I'll probably end up making some fancy handmade wooden baseboards in the future. That's it for day 2. Day 3. I feel refreshed and definitely not tired at all. I'm sorry for lying, I won't ever do it again. Come back. Today is my final day of painting. It's also the longest day. I'm going to paint the finer details by hand to fix all the lovely mistakes I made on day 1. I'm a new man, more experienced and weathered. I can do this.
I'm bringing you on this journey with me. It's not a very fun journey.
First, I'll start by taping the freshly painted wall off so that I may fix the ceiling. With my large nylon, I stabbed at the ceiling to ensure the inner corners were covered.
Come here. There's some blue there. I don't know how. I think I just got the primer in my hair. Oh well.
After I coated all my problem areas, I took the tape off and hit my windows with an extra coat as well. After 2 weeks, it was time to move in. Wow. What a dramatic change. The quotes I received for painting this room were between $1,200 and $2,700, which is absurd. I did it myself in 3 days for $244. If you've enjoyed my content, please subscribe. I didn't particularly enjoy painting this room, but that's because I had my door shut, my air conditioning off, and, well, my windows were open to the elements. And it did not drop below 98 degrees. So I was sweating bullets. On the bright side, I have this beautiful calming room now. And I would absolutely do this again. That's the end of the video. Remember, creativity is a skill, not a talent. Until next time.